The dining room was full of chatter, clinking glasses, and laughter that spilled like music across the table. Candles flickered gently, casting a warm glow on familiar faces. I tried to savor the moment, to pretend everything was ordinary. But when my mother's voice rang out, sharp as broken glass, the room froze. "Lena, you'll never measure up to your sister, Clara. She's the one who truly keeps this family afloat." My heart lurched. The laughter died instantly, hanging heavy in the silence that followed. For as long as I could remember, my life had been painted in Clara's shadow. And now, before a room full of relatives, the paint felt permanent. My chair scraped against the tile as I pushed back. My voice shook, but it carried. If that's the case, then let Clara handle everything. I'm done. I won't send another penny. The air snapped. Gasps rippled across the table. My mother's hand froze around her wineglass, her eyes wide. "What money? We never got a cent from you." 100 stares pinned me in place. My sister's smug grin faltered, slipping like a mask. And in that moment, I knew. The secret I had kept buried for years was about to explode, whether I was ready or not. Growing up in a small Ohio town, I always believed my parents cared for me, but I knew I wasn't the favorite. Clara, 3 years older, seemed to glide through life like sunlight in an open field. She was the cheer captain, the honor roll student, the girl everyone admired at church picnics and school plays. "Clara is so talented." Neighbors would beam, their eyes sparkling with delight. And me? I sat in corners, quiet, clutching books no one cared to ask me about. One Christmas when I was 12, I carved a jewelry box in shop class, sanding it until my fingertips ached. I painted it soft blue, wrapped it carefully, and held my breath as my mother untied the bow. She glanced once, nodded, and said, "That's nice, Lena. But instead of wasting time on little crafts, you should help Clara with her cheer routines." The smile on my lips burned. I forced it to stay, though tears threatened to fall. That night, muffled by my pillow, I promised myself I'd never let them see me cry. At school, it was the same. Teachers sang Clara's praises, often forgetting I was in the room. Once, I overheard my homeroom teacher say to my mom during conference night, "Clara is a born leader, truly exceptional." Then, almost as an afterthought, she added, "Lena does fine. She's just quiet. She should try to be more like her sister." In the car ride home, Mom's words cut deeper. "Did you hear that, Lena? Why can't you learn from Clara?" I pressed my forehead against the window. "I'm not Clara," I whispered. But no one was listening. I wasn't jealous of her. She was my sister, and I loved her. But the endless comparisons chipped away at me until I felt invisible in my own home. Instead of fighting for attention, I turned to books, to the beat-up computer Dad brought home from a garage sale. While Clara dazzled crowds under bright lights, I pieced together circuits, learned messy lines of code, and found a quiet sense of belonging in the glow of the screen. Still, lying awake at night, I couldn't silence the question that echoed in my chest: would I ever be enough? Or was I destined to live forever as nothing more than Clara's sister? High school was supposed to be my chance to start fresh. Instead, it became another stage for Clara's spotlight to grow brighter. She was everywhere: captain, committee member, the voice that filled every hallway. And me? The girl no one noticed until their laptop broke. I'll never forget the spring talent show. My science club team built a small robot that could pick up and move objects. I spent weeks programming it, my nerves humming with anticipation. Backstage, sweaty palms gripping the controller, I overheard the whispers. Clara's doing a dance number. She's always amazing. Wait, Lena's in the show? The curtain rose. Clara twirled and leapt, her movements flawless under the spotlight. The crowd thundered with applause, echoing so loudly it vibrated in my chest. When it was my turn, the robot worked perfectly, lifting a cup and dropping it into a bin. The audience clapped politely, out of courtesy, more than awe. And when I looked toward my parents' seats, my heart crumpled. They weren't there. Later that night, Mom brushed it off. Clara had cheer practice. We didn't want her walking home alone. But it was the talent show, I whispered. Don't be dramatic, Lena, Dad muttered. We'll catch the next one. But there wasn't a next one, not with them watching. Every grade report, every dinner, became another battlefield of comparison. Look at Clara's grades, Dad would say proudly. She's a natural. My grades, a mix of A's and B's, barely earned a sigh. One afternoon, after another round of, "Why can't you be more like your sister?" I snapped. Because I'm not Clara. The silence that followed felt electric. For a split second, I thought they finally understood. But Mom only shook her head. Disappointment etched across her face. You don't need to yell, Lena. Just try harder. I stormed upstairs, burying my face in my journal. The words spilled in a messy scrawl. No matter what I do, it will never be enough. And so I retreated further into my world of wires and code, where logic never compared me to anyone. Leaving for college felt like slipping the lock on a cage I hadn't realized was holding me captive. I was accepted into the computer engineering program at the University of Texas, and for the first time in my life, I could breathe without Clara's presence pressing against my ribs. Packing my bags, my hands trembled between excitement and fear. At the airport, Mom hugged Clara longer than she hugged me. Her words were polite but distracted. Take care of yourself, Lena. And remember, confidence matters as much as intelligence. I nodded, but inside I thought, no matter what I do, it will never be enough for you. College hit like a storm. Tuition, rent, textbooks, all stacked into a mountain I had to climb with sheer grit. I worked 2 part-time jobs, one serving lattes at the campus cafe and another fixing broken laptops in the library basement. Nights bled into mornings. I'd collapse into bed at 3 and wake at 7 to drag myself to class. But in the blur of exhaustion, something new blossomed: pride. Every dollar I earned was mine. Every exam I survived was proof I could build a life without applause, without comparisons. Meanwhile, Clara's path began to unravel. She started at a local community college, but within a semester, she dropped out, claiming classes were beneath her. From there, she hopped between half-baked ventures and online boutique, managing some influencers' social media, even a pyramid scheme disguised as business coaching. Each time, my parents nodded along, convinced she was on the brink of brilliance. One evening, I called home after a long day. Mom's voice brimmed with excitement. Clara's meeting with investors tomorrow. She might finally launch her business. Isn't that thrilling? That's great, Mom, I replied, gripping the phone tighter. By the way, I just landed a summer internship with a tech company. Silence. Then her flat response. That's nice, Lena. Just keep being independent, all right? Independent. That word became my curse. It was code for, we don't expect much from you. Just survive on your own. Still, I pressed forward. I poured my soul into my studies, coding until my eyes blurred, clawing my way towards something that might finally prove my worth. Clara, meanwhile, flaunted her life online. Her feed was full of shopping bags, champagne flutes, and captions like, "Big moves coming soon. Watch this space." She never explained where the money came from. I wondered quietly if my parents were still floating her. One night, after a 10-hour grind of classes and work, I scrolled through her feed in my dorm. There she was again, posing at an upscale bar, champagne in hand, her smile dazzling as ever. I tossed my phone aside and whispered into the dark, "One day I'll show them. I'll show all of them." It wasn't jealousy. It was survival. Without that fire, the comparisons would have crushed me long ago. Graduation day came like a hard-won miracle. I walked across the stage, diploma in hand, my cap slipping crooked on my head. The applause was lukewarm, polite, nothing like the thunder Clara used to command at cheer competitions. But for once, it didn't matter. I smiled and whispered to myself, "This is mine. No one can take it away." Not long after, I landed a junior software engineer job at a buzzing tech firm in Austin. The city pulsed with possibility. My salary wasn't dazzling, but it covered rent, groceries, and miracle of miracles, a little savings. Then came the call. "Lena." My mother's voice trembled across the line. "It's your father. The doctor says he can't work anymore. His lungs." All those years at the factory, my knees buckled. "What about you, Mom?" I cut back my hours. "But the bills, the medicine, it's too much." I didn't hesitate. "I'll help, don't worry about money." And so it began. Each month, I wired 2,000, sometimes 2,500, back home. But there was a problem. Mom hated online banking. "It's too confusing," she'd say every time I tried to explain. Clara, still living nearby, swooped in with her perfect solution. "Just send it to me," she said breezily over the phone. "I'll cash it and give it to them. Easy." He hesitated. "Come on, Lenny, don't you trust your own sister?" Against the nod in my gut, I agreed. Life in Austin settled into a cycle of work, frugal meals, and sacrifice. Every transfer I made, I imagined Mom buying Dad's medicine, paying the electricity, patching the leaky roof. Meanwhile, Clara flourished, at least online. Designer dresses, rooftop brunches, captions about boss life. I brushed away the unease. Maybe her side hustles had finally taken off. But doubt whispered louder every time Mom sighed on the phone about high bills or empty cupboards. I bit my lip, staring at my bare fridge. "I'll increase the money next month," I promised. After hanging up, I whispered into the silence, "As long as they're okay, that's all that matters." I didn't yet know the truth that my sacrifices were fueling far more than their survival. Austin pulsed with noise and ambition. But I lived quietly, drowning in routine. Work long hours, eat cheap meals, wire money home. Over and over, the cycle repeated. I told myself it was worth it every time I pictured my mom at the pharmacy counter, or my dad sitting in the doctor's office without worry on his face. But then cracks started to show. It began with Clara's social media. One week she posed beside a shiny new SUV, the caption boasting, "Dreams don't work unless you do." Another week she sparkled at a champagne brunch, a diamond watch catching the sunlight on her wrist. Scrolling through those photos, my chest tightened. How could she afford this? Part of me wanted to believe she had finally found success. But deep down, a quiet voice whispered, What if she's not telling you everything? One evening, I sat across from Daniel, my boyfriend, patient and steady in a small cafe near my office. I pushed my salad around the plate, lost in thought. "You're distracted again," he said gently, setting down his coffee. "What's going on?" I hesitated, then admitted. "Clara's different lately. Flashy clothes, new car, expensive dinners. I don't know where it's coming from." Daniel raised an eyebrow. "Lena, are you sure she's giving your parents the money you send?" The question pierced like an arrow. "Of course she is." I snapped too quickly. "She knows how much it means. She wouldn't lie about that." He leaned closer, voice calm but firm. "I know you trust her. But trust without proof can be dangerous. Maybe you should ask your mom directly." I shook my head. "If they think I'm checking up, they'll feel like I don't trust Clara. She's still my sister, Daniel." But that night, lying awake, his words replayed like a warning bell. Mom's complaints echoed in my mind. "The bills are too high this month. The roof is leaking. The medicine costs are killing us." Hadn't I already sent extra for those very things? Weeks slipped by. My own life grew heavier with deadlines and overtime. My eyes burned nightly from staring at code too long. And Clara's online life only grew more extravagant: vacations, handbags, cocktails beside sparkling pools. Finally, during a family video call, my unease broke open. Mom sighed, pressing a hand to her temple. "Your father's medicine went up again. I don't know how we'll manage." I blurted out before I could stop myself. "Didn't Clara give you the money I sent last week?" Her brow furrowed. "Money? No, sweetheart. Clara helps us when she can, but it isn't much. Don't worry about it." I froze. My pulse thundered in my ears. Not much. But I had sent nearly $3,000 that month. "Lena, are you still there?" Mom's voice was faint through the static. I forced a smile. "Yeah, Mom. I'll send extra next month." When the call ended, I sat in silence. Daniel's earlier words pounded like a drum. My trust, my sacrifices, all of it, had it been feeding Clara's lifestyle instead of my parents' needs? I wanted to call her, to confront her, but fear held me back. Fear of destroying what little sisterhood we had left. Fear of hearing the truth spoken aloud. So I shoved it down, whispering to myself, "I'll deal with it later. For now, just keep going for Mom and Dad." But deep in my chest, I knew the storm was coming. And when it hit, it would tear open wounds we had all been too afraid to face. When Mom's 60th birthday rolled around, I decided to go home. I searched for weeks to find her gift: a simple digital camera, something she had once mentioned wanting for her garden. Daniel helped me wrap it in pale blue paper, her favorite color. Maybe, I told myself, this trip could heal something. When we arrived, the house smelled of roasted chicken and vanilla cake. Relatives crowded the living room, laughter echoing off the walls. Clara floated among them in a glittering dress, her hair perfect, her laugh magnetic. "Lena?" Mom greeted me with a brief hug before turning back to Clara. "Sweetheart, can you help me with the candles?" I swallowed the sting, smiling tightly. Daniel squeezed my hand under the table. "It'll be okay," he whispered. Dinner began with chatter and clinking glasses. But soon, the script I knew too well unfolded. Aunt Laura leaned toward Clara, smiling warmly. "You're such a good daughter, Clara, sending money every month to take care of your parents. Not everyone does that." Others chimed in, nodding. "This family is lucky to have you." The words cut into me like jagged glass. My fork clattered against the plate. Daniel's grip on my hand tightened, trying to anchor me. Then Mom's voice landed the final blow. Lena, why can't you be more like your sister? She takes care of us. You should learn from her. The years of swallowed pain, the sleepless nights, the sacrifices I made, they all erupted at once. My chair screeched against the floor as I stood. My voice trembled, sharp as a blade. If that's the case, then let Clara pay all the bills. I'm done. I won't send another cent. Gasps filled the room. Mom's face paled. What money? She demanded. We never got a single dollar from you. My hands shook as I pulled out my phone. Then explain this. I scrolled through the endless list of transfers, 2,000, 2,500, 3,000, all marked for Mom and Dad. I held the screen high for everyone to see. The silence that followed was suffocating. Clara's smirk vanished, replaced by flickers of panic. Uncle Martin leaned forward, squinting at the screen. Clara, what is this about? His voice was sharp, cutting through the stunned silence. Aunt Laura whispered, My goodness, her teacup rattling as she set it down. Daniel rose from his chair, standing beside me. His voice was calm, steady, but firm. Lena has been supporting her parents for years. She never wanted recognition, but I think it's time the truth came out. My mother's lips trembled as her gaze shifted between me and the phone. Clara, she whispered, her voice shaking. You told us that money was from you. You said you were providing for us. Clara's face flushed crimson. She opened her mouth, closed it again, then stammered. I didn't mean. I was going to pay it back. My father's voice cracked through the silence, frail but resolute. Pay it back? For years? What did you do with it? Clara's eyes darted around, desperate for escape. Her shoulders hunched, and for the first time, she looked small. I needed it, she muttered. For debts, for appearances. I only gave you a little each month so you'd think I was the good daughter. Her voice broke into sobs. I just wanted you to be proud of me. The weight of her confession crashed onto the room like a falling tree. Relatives shifted uneasily in their seats. I searched her face for the sister. I remembered the girl who once braided my hair, who shared whispered secrets under blankets. But all I saw now was someone I barely recognized. My mother buried her face in her hands. Lena, I'm so sorry. All those years, I told you to be more like her, when all along, her voice trailed into tears. My father leaned forward, his voice breaking. I was blind. I should have seen you, I should have asked. I let you suffer while praising her. His weathered face crumpled under the weight of regret. The child in me wanted to fold into his arms, to finally feel seen. But the woman I had become knew this was the moment I had to stand tall. I love you both, I said, my voice steady despite the tears burning in my eyes. That's why I sent the money. But things cannot go back to the way they were. If I keep helping, there have to be rules. The entire room turned toward me. Even Clara lifted her head. Guilt etched into every line of her face. First, I continued firmly. No more comparisons. I'm not Clara. I never will be. I am Lena. If you can't accept me for who I am, I can't keep breaking myself to earn your approval. Mom nodded quickly. Her cheeks streaked with tears. Never again, sweetheart. I promise. Second, I said, everything must be transparent. I'll send money directly or pay bills myself. No more middlemen, no more secrets. Dad's voice, rough but resolute, answered. Agreed. However you say. That's how it'll be. I inhaled slowly. And third, Clara has to take responsibility. She can't keep pretending while I carry the weight alone. Clara flinched, shame heavy in her expression. Her voice cracked when she finally spoke. You're right, I was selfish, I lied, I stole from you. I wanted to look perfect, even when I was drowning. I don't expect forgiveness, but I'll change. I'll get a job, I'll contribute for real this time. A heavy silence followed. For the first time in years, my sister didn't look untouchable. She looked human, fragile, stripped of her illusions. Words won't fix this, I told her softly but firmly. Only actions will. If you want to change, prove it. Her lips trembled as she nodded. I will. The room shifted uneasily. Aunt Laura's voice broke the silence. I never knew, Lena. I judged you wrongly. Uncle Martin lowered his head. You've carried more than any of us realized. Their words barely registered. Exhaustion pressed heavy on me, years of swallowed pain spilling out in a single night. Daniel's hand brushed mine, steady and warm. You did what needed to be done, he whispered. I met his eyes and realized he was right. Speaking the truth wasn't about humiliating Clara or demanding apologies. It was about reclaiming myself. My mother reached for my hand, her grip trembling. I don't deserve forgiveness, but I'll spend the rest of my life making this right. For the first time, I believed her. The birthday cake sat untouched, candles melting into waxy puddles. The celebration had turned into a reckoning. Painful, yes, but necessary. When I finally climbed the stairs to my old bedroom, I caught my reflection in the mirror. My shoulders were straight. My eyes were clear. For the first time, I didn't see Clara's shadow staring back. I saw myself, Lena, no longer invisible. The weeks after the birthday confrontation felt like walking through new air, lighter and freer than I had ever known. Back in Austin, I settled into my job, but something had shifted. The endless comparisons that once pressed on my shoulders no longer had power. Mom began calling more often, her voice softer than I remembered. She asked about my projects, about the long hours I spent at the office. Being an engineer must be tough, she said once, genuine curiosity lacing her words. For years, I had longed to hear that simple acknowledgement. Now, hearing it, I nearly cried. Dad changed too. Slowly, awkwardly at first, but sincerely. He started telling neighbors about his daughter Lena, the software engineer in Texas. The pride in his voice sounded unsteady, like he wasn't used to speaking my name in that way, but it warmed me all the same. And Clara, she surprised me most. She took a modest job at a local design firm. Nothing glamorous, but steady. Every month she sent a small amount home, only a few $100s, but this time it was real, honest. When we spoke on the phone, there were no boasts, no wild promises, just quiet determination. I'm trying, Lena, she said. I know I have a lot to make up for. For the first time, I believed her. Daniel stayed by my side through it all. One evening, as we walked through a quiet park, his hand slipped into mine. You did the hardest thing, he told me. You spoke the truth. Even when it hurt. That takes courage. I leaned against him, a smile tugging at my lips. I just couldn't live in her shadow anymore. I had to step out. Looking back, I realized the truth I had fought so hard to find. Family love cannot survive on favoritism and lies. It withers under unfair comparisons, but it can heal with honesty and respect. I no longer wanted to be known as Clara's sister. I was Lena Carter, a daughter, a sister, a woman who had fought to be seen, and finally, I was. And as I tell you this now, I want to leave you with a thought. Maybe you've lived in someone's shadow too. Maybe you've carried the weight of comparisons, unrecognized sacrifices, or the silence of being overlooked. If so, know this: you are not invisible. Sometimes the bravest act is to speak the truth, even when your voice shakes. Sometimes it means setting boundaries, demanding respect, and refusing to let love be measured by comparison. So if you've been waiting for permission to step out of someone else's shadow, take this as your sign. Stand tall. Let your voice be heard. Because you are not just someone's sibling, someone's child, someone's shadow. You are you. And that is more than enough.